Good morning, everyone. Treasure Troller here from the mask-wearing militant state of Michigan. So it's getting close. We're getting very close to that first holy day of the NFL season, which is the NFL draft. And as usual, most of the talk surrounds the quarterbacks that will be taken. Now, as far as I'm concerned, if you're asking Treasure Troller his opinion on the NFL draft, it would be this: unless you absolutely need a quarterback, then you draft one in the first round. But if you don't need a quarterback, your first round pick should be an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman and maybe a defensive end. All the other positions are nothing but a crapshoot. And those guys always linebackers, corners, safeties, running backs, receivers, seem to always be getting hurt. These linemen, they stay in the league for 10, 12, 15 years. Cornerstone of the offense. I say you go with D-line or offensive lineman unless you need a quarterback. So we'll get to the quarterbacks now. And I do not agree with most of the experts in this area, which makes me completely wrong, but that's cool. They say Trevor Lawrence is going first, and without a doubt, Trevor Lawrence is the best quarterback in the NFL draft. As a matter of fact, if I didn't need a quarterback, I would take Trevor Lawrence. With that being said, all these other number 2 and number 3 and number 4s, to me, they don't make a difference. But they left a couple of guys out that I really think should be there. And so we'll get into that. They have Zach Wilson from Brigham Young going next. Now, I have nothing against the Mormons. The only thing I have against BYU is the schedule that they played this last year. All these guys say, is he a better than average quarterback? Yes, but when you put a better than average quarterback up against inferior defenses, well, they look like an NFL first round draft pick. He's never beat a team that's had a 10-win season or that's had a really good coaching staff. And the only reason why he was at BYU, his best offer up until that point was Boise State. And at the very last minute, Brigham Young offered him a scholarship, and away he went. And I think with the lack of competition around him does not, in my opinion, make him pick number 2. Now, this kid from Alabama, Mac Jones, they're talking about him being in the mix. I have no problem with Mac Jones. Competition-wise, it's at the top. Then they have Trey Lance out of North Dakota State. That's right. There's actually like 2 main colleges in North Dakota and North Dakota State. I mean, who would have thought? Do we really need to talk about the teams that they played this last year? You wouldn't recognize any of them. Youngstown State. Where's Youngstown State? They played North Dakota. They got beat by South Dakota twice. I don't understand why you'd put a multi-billion-dollar franchise into a quarterback that really couldn't make it into the top tier of colleges. And once again, probably beat up on some inferior talent. Then you have Justin Fields I'm in Michigan, and Justin played for that team down south. The unmentionable team. Do you know why he played for the unmentionable team? Is because he couldn't beat Jake Fromm out at Georgia. And so rather than sit behind Jake Fromm for another year, he transferred to the unmentionable school. Where's Jake Fromm now? Well, he's a backup quarterback. Trevor Lawrence came in as a freshman and beat out the starting quarterback, who was like a junior. Justin Fields goes to goes to Georgia and can't beat out their starting quarterback, who's a backup quarterback in the NFL. Seriously. It's not going to happen. So we had Trey Lance out of South Dakota, Zach Wilson out of BYU, Justin Fields from the unmentionable school, Mac Jones out of Alabama. So let's talk about one player that should be in the talk, but isn't. He's classified in the, oh yeah, and there's some other quarterbacks too that are eligible for the draft. He's in that category. Now there's a kid from, I believe, Texas A&M that I would even put up above these top four, but I'm going to talk about this guy. This guy started 4 years at the University of Texas. Sam Ehlinger. 4 years playing in that conference with Baylor, Oklahoma State. They played West Virginia. They played Iowa State. He's played at the top levels. He gets no respect. He probably came back as last year just to improve his draft status. But it's surprising to me that after I've always thought he was a good quarterback, but if you look at some of the draft reports on Sam Ehlinger, they sound almost exactly like somebody that was drafted like in the 6th round about, 50 years ago, who's still playing. I think his last name is Brady. He has exactly the same qualities and the same issues that Tom Brady has. Maybe other than the physical stature. They always called Tom kind of rail thin. Sam isn't quite rail thin. Maybe a bit more athletic than Brady was. But they talk about the same thing, the leadership, the pocket presence, although Sam maybe moves a little bit better, still the agility isn't quite on par with some of these other guys. But anyways, to me, if you're out there and you really want a quarterback that's had experience and has played at the top levels, forget this BYU hype. Forget the North Dakota State kid that hasn't played a major college team in his college career. Justin Fields from that unmentionable school, come on. He couldn't even beat out Jake Fromm, who's now a backup quarterback in the NFL. Your better pick is either the young lad out of Texas. I think it's Texas Tech. I'll have to look, but this was more about Sam Ehlinger than it was about him. Do yourselves a favor, NFL teams. Forget all the hype on these other guys and take Sam Ehlinger. He sounds an awful lot like Brady, and he turned out to be, a better than average quarterback anyways. So this is Treasure Troller saying aloha and good day.